excited about hyena cubs. They shot out of that den site like little corks. Which is interesting because typically a hyena cub's response is to dive for cover, not to run away. Odd. We'll have to wait till Gwen returns and go and sit with them. They'll learn fast. They'll be chewing on our tires before you can say hyena. Alright, I don't even know what to do with myself now. I haven't quite decided. So while I try and work out where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do, let's head back to Brent, who I'm sure knows where he's going to go and what he's going to do.
So, well, we're checking the southern boundary now, and I've just spotted something I want to have a closer look at. It's a bit old, but it almost looks like a drag mark, but it's quite old. It's been rained on, going across to the south, but I don't think it's fresh, so no need to worry about it too much. I think let's keep going. Good thing is we haven't found any tracks for the royal family yet, so let's hope that continues as we head further down to the east, and hopefully we're going to just process of elimination and then zig and zag our way back through Djuma. And as I said, we are hoping not to find any tracks crossing south. We don't mind them if they're coming north though. And we do spend quite a bit of time on this southern boundary looking and making sure that Queen Karula hasn't vacated. Sometimes we do miss tracks though, because the road is quite hard. That's why we go very slowly, and you'll notice my head is often leaning out of the vehicle. And we also are keeping a lookout for any interesting birds as we meander through. And it's turning into an absolutely stunning morning. I think it's going to be reasonably warm today. Where are you, Queen Karula? I think it's always good to check around Twin Dams. The Hosana and Xongile really seem to enjoy spending time there. What was that? Oh, it was a honey badger. Now, one of my favourite things to do in the vehicle is I turn off the engine and I just freewheel. So it takes a little bit of the noise away, gives my ears a better chance to hear if anything has been spotted by an impala or a kudu. I think it was a hyena. Let's just double check. Yep, it was a hyena. We're in sort of the real hot zone for Queen Karula and the cubs in this area here. This is the area they've been spending a lot of time in. One of the areas she does like to cross quite frequently. We can hear a very loud Woodlands. Can't really see him just yet. There he is. Oh no, that's a dove. Okay, I can't see the Woodland's Kingfisher for the bird list, but the dove is there. There. Oh, what was that? Woodlands is right on the top of that tree there. Come a little bit to the right and up a bit more to the right still. Let's just see where you are. Oh, there we go, he's landed right out in the open. Chased away the laughing dove, but there we go, Woodland's Kingfisher, giving us a very, very loud good morning. The sound of summer, of that electric blue colouring on the woodlands. Now, that's number 2 for our February bird list, and we're doing all the gorgeous ones this morning, the brightly coloured ones, the rover and the Woodland's Kingfisher. Okay, we're heading down towards Twin Dams. Fingers crossed that the cubs are in this area. If not, we could have some very nice birds. Keep checking very carefully. No tracks. As I said, no tracks is a good thing. Means they're probably still on Djuma. And it seems like James is back up. So let's go say good morning.
Good morning again, everybody. I apologise for my tardiness and general laziness and not being on screen for longer today. I promise it hasn't been my fault. Now you know who I am. Excellent. Now, come and have a look over here. This is a flower. Do you notice that, Viam? Excellent. We've worked out that this is a flower, but it's just come up. And there are a whole lot of them now. They've covered this area. There are possibly the most, I think, intricately beautiful flowers I've seen this season. Can I tell you what it is? The answer is no, I cannot. I'm going to have to go and research what it is. So if any of you perhaps know what this is, it would be great to know from you. #StoryLive, questions at WildEarthTV. I don't think I have seen it before, definitely. I've just never managed to find it in a book. But it's got some gorgeous flowers. And this is a particularly poor example of it. I mean, they are blooming all over the place. Look at this one here. All across the clearings. Beautiful pink, I suspect pollinated by ants. I'm going to guess that their downward facing petals are probably attracting ants off the ground to come and pollinate them. So what we did, I'll just tell you what we did since I last saw you, which of course was some time ago, almost an hour and a half. We followed the tracks. They went down, obviously, across onto Mvubu Road and then all the way up to the north, as Brent showed you, and we followed them track for track. Then we cut back because we didn't have any tracks, or we didn't have any signal, so we cut back towards camp. And way in the sort of that system of drainage lines just to the north of where we live, I think that was probably a monkey leaping over the fence over here. We're just next to the landowner's house. In the distance, in those drainage lines, we found more tracks of male leopards, and I think he's been circling around that area the whole night. I'm pretty sure that he's looking for Karula, and I wonder if she isn't coming into some sort of proto-estrus, as I said to you earlier. I just want to see if we can't make this, or wait for this fellow to stop. Kathy, you're a new viewer, and it's lovely to have you with us. You say, what is that sock tied to my waist? Oh, Happy. Happy, it is a... Oh, there we go. Beautiful. It is a monarch. I always like to look at whether they have more than one spot on the back wing. That one has got a number of spots, therefore a monarch. The diadem, which is a brilliant mimic, of course, of the monarch butterfly, has only one spot on the hind wing. Happy, this is for me to check the direction of the wind. The wind is now blowing from the southeast. It is filled with the ash of a special tree and the bones of an impala, because otherwise we cannot discern the route of the wind. The cameraman is staring at me as though I've gone stark raving mad. I am, of course, talking nonsense. It's purely ash from the last BBQ that we had in the camp. Happy, it's very important. It's not so much important now because, of course, we're not looking at any large animals and we don't seem to be tracking any of them either. But if you are in position where you are now going to approach some big game, say a buffalo or an elephant, then you want to know exactly which way the wind's blowing because, of course, they have excellent senses of smell. Jamie has got for you an avian friend. Please go and find out what it is. I will continue to the south.
A beautiful avian friend in the form of this male Bateleur that is having a very thorough preening session, making sure all of his feather tips are nicely aligned, covering them with that all-important preen oil, and just generally looking absolutely gorgeous. They're definitely one of the most striking birds of prey, with their different colours, the bright red face and legs, and then the black, white and brown on their bodies. Oh, you've missed one. Oh no, sorry, you haven't missed one. It just was a funny misaligned flight feather. A very, very distinctive, very easily identifiable bird, also known as the short-tailed eagle, and you can see why. You can see how his his wingtips actually extend right past his tail. Bateleurs hardly have a tail to speak of, which gives them a very curious rocking motion in flight. And there's nothing like watching one of them in the morning sun or the evening sun. They really are truly glorious birds. This is one of a pair that lives between Mumba Road and Leadwood Road. And we see them relatively regularly around here. So they are territorial. They do have territories. A mating pair will have a territory, and then they will raise their offspring in that area. So every now and again we also see three of them sitting together. The two adults, striking and beautiful, and then the rather nondescript juveniles that are brown, and the only way you can really, one of the big defining features is that fluffy head of theirs. They've got very, very fluffy heads. And it takes them easily a good 7 years to attain their adult plumage. So they spend the first 7 years of their life with this nondescript sort of brown look before they attain this coloration. Specialized snake hunters, and other things as well, of course. And scavengers. Often when you see a tawny eagle and a Bateleur together in a tree looking down at the ground, there's a very good chance that there is a leopard kill somewhere in the vicinity or something similar. Look at him. I still think the females are slightly more striking just because they've got an extra strip of white on their wings, and the white usually looks a little bit cleaner and stands out more clearly against the black feathers. There we go. It is one of the few raptor species where, unless they're sitting next to each other, you can actually tell the difference between a male and a female. Michael, you want to know, well, how do you tell the difference between male and female? I should have my book with me, but I don't. I'm really sorry. It would have been the easiest way to demonstrate it. But essentially, the females have an extra strip of white that sits along the base of the wing, so towards the end of the wing, towards the flight feathers. So the males have a sort of a shoulder patch that is white. The females have the shoulder patch and then another extra white strip. And when you look at them from below, the female is mostly white underneath when they're flying, with a thin sort of outline, like somebody's outlined her wings in black, whereas the male's half black, half white. Very easy to identify. With other raptor species, it's a lot more difficult unless you get them sitting right next to each other, in which case, generally with birds of prey, the female's a little bit larger than the male. But that's the only real way in which you can tell difference between males and females. So if we take one last look at our beautiful Bateleur, you can see at the top of the wing there, you can just sort of see the white. It's looking a little grey this morning. And then below that, if he were a female, below that there would be a strip of white. I've heard some exciting things on the Game Drive channel this morning. I'm not going to spoil any surprises. Let's go and see what Brent has for you.
We have the terror of terrapins, the destroyer of them, staring deeply into a puddle at the moment, thinking about springing upon a poor, unsuspecting terrapin. He's been sneaking about the edge of this waterhole, this little very thick green grassy pan. We saw him, just could make him out as he moved through the long grass. Fortunately, he's come out into the open. But he's very intently staring into that puddle. Oh, it's a bit bigger than a puddle. Maybe he's after a frog. Look, here we go. He's got a wet foot. He looks like he might be getting a more wet foot. There's something that's holding his interest in that little puddle. There we go. He's in the water. He's just an amazing leopard. He seems just completely nonplussed by the water, unlike most of the other leopards. There we go. You can see him carefully stepping into the mud. I suppose we could also call him the terror of monitor lizards. No luck there. So maybe he's going to come terrorize his sister, who's also here. We actually spotted little Xongile first. There we go. So I think he's heading straight for his sister, and she's just over here. Oh, and look, there is a terrapin that has been right in front of her. He's trying to make an escape. Do you see the terrapin there, Craig? Where is it? In the grass? Trying to sneak away from her. Oh, trouble if Mr. Hosana spots you, terrapin, because he's on his way. So there he is. Now he's spotted Xongile, who's not so interested in the terrapin. Now that terrapin, I'm pretty sure, has been brought out by one of the little cubs, because it was still wet on its back. But it was lying right in front of Xongile when we first spotted it. Obviously, she couldn't get through that hard exoskeleton, so now the terrapin is trying to make its way very carefully away from the leopards. They really do like this Twin Dams area. No, she's not too interested in that escaping terrapin. I think if Hosana spots it, it'll be a different story altogether. Little Xongile having a nap. Hosana's still up on the dam wall in front of us, and he's giving his feet a good clean after getting them all wet and dirty. Well, Robert, a big welcome to Safari Live. Robert's wondering, how do we tell the leopards apart? Well, with these two, it's quite easy. It's their birthday tomorrow, actually. They'll be a year old tomorrow. And he is so much bigger than his sister. It's very easy to identify him. And his sister is much, much smaller. Sorry, I just need to be on the radio for a second. Aubrey. Orbs, did you copy? We've got Hosana Xongile at Twin Dams. The two Mampimpa and Ingwe. At Twin Dams. So you can see he's giving himself a good clean, and he got nice and muddy when he went into that water. Copy. So Karula is obviously out hunting somewhere. So we had a... Oh dear. Now I was hoping that young Hosana comes back for that terrapin. Now, Gail's wondering, does Hosana still have a limp? It didn't look like he was limping as he was moving towards us. So I think he probably just got a minor bruise when he fell out of a tree or playing with his sister. He looks like he wants to be up to mischief. Where are you off to next, mister? Are you going to pounce on your sleeping sister? Or are you going to go attack some poor unexpecting terrapins or birds? And he's definitely spotted there's some grey go-away birds over in that area that were flapping around that he's spotted. No, not that interesting. More interested in cleaning his feet. Now we're going to sit right here, see what the little ones get up to next. But in the meantime, Jamie's got an animal that is absolutely petrified of the likes of Xongile and Hosana.
Now, this is most definitely a mongoose that would not want to encounter Xongile and Hosana, especially since little leopards will chase absolutely anything that moves, and we have seen young leopards catch mongoose before. We've got this lovely little family of dwarf mongoose that are having a lazy morning. I can't remember what day of the week it is. I was going to say a lazy Tuesday morning, but I think it's Wednesday. Lazy Wednesday morning. Enjoying a little bit of sunbathing time, and of course a little bit of mutual grooming. Helps to keep the bonds strong between the different members of the group. Little heads popping up absolutely everywhere. While you were with Hosana, who of course potentially injured himself by falling off a tree, we think, we're not 100% sure, I watched one of them fall all the way off the top of this termite mound and roll down to the bottom. It was highly entertaining. They are so sweet. All gathered together, bright-eyed and curious. Oh, scratchy. I was thinking about them at the moment at the height of tick season and wondering how they're feeling, because I know after my walk I have been... what is the word? I have been attacked by pepper ticks. I wonder what it's like being a tiny animal that moves through the grass at this level constantly. They must get absolutely covered. Thank goodness they've got each other to help remove all of those pesky parasites. I've even got a pepper tick bite on my cheek, which is utterly ridiculous and somewhat annoying. Very, very itchy. So James must beware of the risk of pepper ticks. Oh, got your tail. You catch your own tail. Yes. Yeah, definitely one of the cutest animals to sit and watch. Razor sharp teeth. And of course with their very complex social bonds are reinforced by moments just like this, where they groom around the outside. There we go. Get right there. There we go. Tick removal service. Thank goodness. Otherwise they'd probably be scratching all the time, because ticks, especially small ticks, do tend to go for smaller animals. Things like scrub hares and mongoose. And birds. Here we go. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Sort of. Slugworth, you want to know if the plural of mongoose is mongeese. Very good morning to you. The standard question, is it mongoose? Is it mongooses? I think it's actually technically mongooses. We've had this question many times before, and I've confused myself with a number of different answers that I've received. As far as I know, technically it's mongooses. It is not mongeese, although mongeese does make more sense because, of course, goose and geese. Well, the one thing I can safely say is that baby mongooses are not called mongoslings. Imagine if they were called mongoslings. So it's mongooses, or just a business of mongooses. Oh, now I've confused myself again. I tend to just use mongoose as the plural as well, I've realized, in the way that I speak, which probably isn't technically correct, but it does. Look at this. There's a bundle of them. All 5 of them gathered together now. It's nearly time to get going, guys. The day is long since started. I like mongoose, though. There's all sorts of little creatures out here that do not want to meet leopard cubs. And of course, our leopard cubs have been very good at terrapin terrorizing. Let's go and have a look.
Yeah. Going live. Oh, well, Hosana just got hold of that terrapin and gave it a few licks and turned it upside down and just left it there. So that poor terrapin is stuck on its back, and let's see if it's going to be able to flick itself over. Little bit. There we go, there it is. So he's flicked it onto its back while it was trying to escape. Hosana, the true terror of terrapins. Well, we'll keep an eye on that terrapin. Him and his sister are being quite affectionate though, so let's just move forward a bit. Hi guys. How's that, Craig? Perfect, there we go. Hey, you two. So they're right on that dam wall below us. And there's Xongile moving off. It is getting quite warm, so they might start heading for the shade in not too long. Quite an interesting angle on a leopard, not one we get too often. He has got such a lovely golden coat, much darker than his mom. Well, D in Delta is wondering, could these cubs actually get into the terrapin shell and eat it? I think that terrapin's a bit too big. Oh, look, he's trying to right himself. Oh, he's done it. Did he manage? Or did he put himself further on his back? Oh no, he's made it worse for himself. He was at a slight angle and he's actually managed to put himself right on his back now. Look at that. Oh, nearly. Come on. Come on. Come on. Well, it looks like he's a bit nervous that he just moved, that Hosana might be paying attention again, which he is. So the terrapin's gone still, but we will be keeping an eye on that. But while we sit here with these incredible cats and the unfortunate terrapin, let's go back to James, who's got an armoured creature of his own.
I'm just having a very gentle lie down here on the side of the road with my friend Billy the Beetle. Now, Billy the Beetle seems to be slightly lost because he keeps heading this way, but there's a huge pile of dung down the road, so I think we might just take him down there and, do him a favour. He was walking that direction, and I sat here with him, and he was very unhappy. Now, of course, most of you will know precisely what this is. You can see him nicely, can you, Vian? This is the plum dung beetle. That's the species of beetle that it is, with his very exceptional digging head and digging or combing front legs for fashioning balls out of dung. And he seems to be having a slight navigational problem. Now, apparently we're going back to the leopards.
Look at that. So the terrapin managed to get himself upright, but Hosana has now got his paw on top of him. He is truly the terror of terrapins. Now, I think he's going to try to walk away to get the terrapin to move. So I think it's more of a game for him than anything else. He's looking at the lapwings that flew over. Now, let's see. As soon as that terrapin starts moving again, I'm sure he will get attracted to it again. Now, he's sitting there. He's going to wait for that terrapin to make a move and to keep himself entertained. As Dee was asking, I think that terrapin's just a little bit too tough for a leopard of his size. I think if he really wanted to, he might be able to crack open some of it, but the risk is not worth the effort. I think it's more of a game for him with the terrapins. It's the challenge of getting them out of the water, and then, oh, the terrapin moved slightly. There we go. Look at it. So every time the poor creature moves, Hosana comes into stalk mode. Oh, shame. So he's more interested in if it moves, I must chase it, just like a domestic cat. Now it's not moving, it's not that interesting. I wonder where the queen is. Hopefully she's caught something on Djuma and might even come fetch them this morning. That poor terrapin. So he has waiting for that terrapin to move again. Every time that poor terrapin moves, he pounces upon it. He's flipped it onto its back once. And that terrapin's getting much closer to the water now. But I'm pretty sure he carried it out from that other pan where we saw him fishing earlier, because there was still water on the back of that terrapin's back. And as we know with this leopard, he is slightly mad in the head, and he goes swimming. And he goes swimming to hunt terrapins. I'm staring at the terrapin, wishing it to move. Are you sitting a bit close for it to move now? You never know, the terrapin is so close to the water now. There you go. Apparently a lot of you think that young Hosana should stop terrorizing the poor terrapin. I don't think he's going to, I'm afraid. Every time it moves, it's going to trigger his instincts. He probably had quite a job getting it out of the water earlier today. He doesn't want to let his toy go back. He's the only leopard in South Africa I've seen that has almost zero fear of water. Now, whether that's because he grew up during a drought and the water is just such a novelty and it's got so many fun toys like frogs and terrapins in it. Now, leopards in other parts of Africa, in the Okavango Delta, the Kwando swamps and the rainforest basin, are all very adept at dealing with water and will swim actually sometimes quite big distances between islands and peninsulas. And I've seen a leopard in the Okavango that specialized at hunting lechwe in quite shallow water, and she would often drown the lechwe when she caught them, so holding their heads under the water. And she wasn't a particularly big leopard either. Oh, the terrapin moved. He's just wishing that terrapin to move. The terrapin's trying to make an escape. I'm saying, okay, if I move a little bit, maybe he won't grab me this time. There we go. He's on the move. Oh, shame. Now, let's see what he does this time. Look, I've just seen him lick it. I haven't seen him try bite it yet. Well, we did watch him flip it onto its back earlier, and that terrapin performed some incredible acrobatics to get back. As he flipped it onto the back. No, not this time. Oh, Mr. Hosana, that terrapin's going to make his escape soon. Now, VR Viking is wondering, would the terrapin ever bite his paw? Well, I think if he managed to get into the shell, yes, he would. Oh, the terrapin's on the move. Is he going to make it down to the water again this time before Hosana decides to pounce? I think he might. I think his time as Hosana's toy is over. There we go. The safety of the water. Hosana obviously got bored of it. Now, I just want to show you how Xongile is sleeping, because she is in quite a funny looking spot. And you got her there, or are we too close? No, there we go. Here she is. And she looks very comfortable and quite a strange little thing in a little sort of ditch caused by the rain. Seems to fit her perfectly. Now the wonderful thing about sitting here with these little ones is that Mom could return at any time and could lead us off to where she's made a kill. And I didn't find any tracks of her heading to the south, so hopefully she's still somewhere here in the north. But while we sit with the sleeping cats, it seems like James has found a great grey beast on foot.
Okay, we've got a herd of elephants here, and we don't really have a vantage point from which to view them. They're sitting probably about 80 meters from us or so, which is about 250 feet odd, 260 feet, and all we heard was the flapping of the ears, waka, waka, as they feed and chase off the flies. Now, the reason I say it's a herd, I know you can only see one animal, but that is a very small one, and unless it's a bull that's suddenly become isolated for some reason, I'm pretty sure there are others in this bush. The wind is perfect for us. So happy you were asking about why it is that we have this sock full of ash. Well, I'll show you. They're standing to the south of us. If I do that, you can see the wind is blowing straight towards you. So you might be able to smell us, but that elephant cannot. And elephants will react to smell just like most of the animals out here, almost more than they do to the sight of something. Now, were that elephant to turn round, I suspect it would probably not be able to see us. Come over here, Viam. You can just see her breaking cover there. And what we don't want to do, the reason we're being so quiet and so cautious here, is not because they present a massive danger at this stage, but because we don't want them to become intimidated by us. They could easily become intimidated by us if they saw us standing here. And when an elephant becomes intimidated, it becomes irritated. And that's when you need to watch out for them. So the idea is that we view them completely without their knowing that we're here, ideally. It's not always possible. Let's just move through here. We're going to use as much cover as we can. We're going to be as quiet as possible. I can only see that one animal. I might be wrong that there isn't a herd here. But of course, when you see a young one, you want to be looking all the way around. You can't just be focused on the one. And your ears play such a massively important role here, because at the moment, you just see the ears flapping there. At the moment, just about the only true indication we have of the elephant's presence is that constant slapping sound of the ears against the side of the head. You can't see, can you, Ian? No. She's just... Come over this way. See if we can't get a better view. It's funny, you know, we were walking around on quarantine clearings, hardly paying attention. And then suddenly you hear that flapping noise, and all your senses have become heightened. There we go. They're back to us there. Anna Marie, I think we're probably about 250 feet from them. You're wondering how far. It looks to me at about 250 feet. What's the focus point for him? 118. 118. So we're probably about 300 meters then, at least 300 feet. And now there are more of them. I can now hear quite a lot of movement. And I can see a second animal. In fact, yeah, I can see at least two. There's a little one now running. The little one went running just over the top of my stick there. Not because it heard us. If it heard us, it would have made a noise. This is very cool because we just don't know quite what's going on here. It's a big herd, I think, probably about 10 animals. Trevor, you're wondering how far a baby elephant will run from its mother. Depends how old it is. The older it gets, of course, the more it will wander. But a youngster, say up to 2 years old, never more than, say, I don't know, maybe 50 feet, 50, 60 feet, they'll always be around mum. It also depends on who else is around. If there's an aunt that they trust, or a cousin, or a sibling, they can go a little bit further. Let's try and move again. They are moving sort of parallel with our direction. And it does open up a little bit down there, so we're going to keep going along here. Lots of marula fruits around at the moment. And Ashley, you're a new viewer and saying how wonderful it would be to view elephants on foot, no matter how far away they are. You see, that's exactly the correct attitude. There we go. The correct attitude is not how close I can get, because that's just our typical sort of human aggression speaking. The correct attitude is exactly what you had there. This is a wonderful experience. We're on foot, undetected by the elephants, and that's what we want to be doing here. It's being in their presence without them being freaked out by us, and without us being freaked out by them. But there's a little bit of edge and excitement, of course, because they could become aware of us if we step on a log and crack a stick, or perhaps the wind changes slightly, they're moving along this way, or perhaps they look up and suddenly come walking this way, because they could do that, and when they move quickly. So you've got to be completely aware of what's going on. And often, on foot like this, the temptation, I think, is to talk about the danger of being with elephants. Sorry, I lost Liam for a second there. And yes, there is potential danger here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking so quietly. Just through there. But for me, that's not the thrill. Probably dogs and hyenas that have the strongest sense of smell. I keep forgetting the numbers exactly, but a hyena or a bloodhound, for example, has a sense of smell sort of 800 times as sensitive as ours. Now, it doesn't pick up the same variety of scent that we do, but it can probably smell about 800 times more sensitively than us. And an elephant isn't quite that sensitive, I don't think. Okay, let's carry on just around here. Right, we'll see if we can't get another view. Well, I'm looking over the back of Liam, not because I think he's going to be run over, but because Rexon's there and he's also keeping an eye on what's going on here. We'll see if we can get another view, and while we do that, let's head back to Jamie and get an update from her.
Oh, while James creeps around to try and get a better view of his elephants, I hear he's been discussing hyenas in terms of their sense of smell, and we've seen some amazing demonstrations of the skills of hyenas when it comes to tracking things down and to finding them. Just yesterday, for example, that one hyena that came through, Tsaka? Yeah. No, the young male that came, or the male that came through into our leopard sighting, he went and sniffed all around where the cubs were and then immediately looked up into the tree and spotted where they were. But speaking of hyenas, there are tracks everywhere. And it does make me wonder whether or not the rest of the clan haven't perhaps moved back somewhere closer to Djuma as well. Makes sense if our theory about the Nkuhumas was correct, and that the fact that the Nkuhumas were spending so much time on Djuma had an effect on the hyenas. Then if the Nkuhumas have gone back into Manuleti, perhaps that is why. Ah, you are here. I was hoping you would be. Wait, is that just a piece of lichen? Nope, it is an owl. It is two owls. And for once, they're actually in a relatively visible position. Let me try and get Jandre into a good spot. Hello! love these owls. They're so thoroughly entertaining. There is number one, looking across at us in its sort of normal form. And then if we look a little bit to the left, I don't know if Chandra is going to be able to see it. There. The one that looks like a stick. The one that looks like a stick, all drawn up and... Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to try and move back so that you can see its face, because they're such innately entertaining birds. Let me try, Chandra. It's just... What do you think? Backwards, maybe? Or forwards? Forwards. Morning. A white-faced owl, also known as a white-faced scops owl, not to be confused with an actual scops owl, which is a different thing altogether. And I think probably one of the funniest birds that we get out here, just in terms of the sheer facial expressions that they adopt. And of course it helps that they've got those amazing moustaches that run down the side of their face. I don't know if you'd call it a moustache, they're actually rictal bristles. False ear tufts, and of course that amazing ability to change shape as they do. They sort of draw themselves up and become long, and it's a technique shared by the northern white-faced and the southern white-faced owls. They both do it. Draw themselves up and sway slightly from side to side to make themselves look like a stick, rather than the very obvious owl that they are. Morning. They're always in this tree. That's why I was hoping they were going to be here. Now, a pack of animals. Yes, indeed, it is a mated pair. They do live in mated pairs, as do all of our little owl species. Just hold on one second, sorry. We've got some white-faced owls here, if you want to have a look. Sorry, just letting the vehicle that was coming past us know that there are this wonderful pair over here. So they might come and join us now. Yes, they are a mated pair. As to which is male and female, I'm not entirely sure, although she looks very disapproving. Perhaps it's her, or perhaps it's him, looking particularly austere. And I don't know whether or not they have a nest in this tree. I'm not 100% sure. I've been looking to see if there's any pellets on the ground or anything like that, and we haven't had any luck so far in terms of figuring it out. I reckon if they had a nest in here, it would probably be in one of the hollows, but I honestly haven't seen any sign of a nest. But they always seem to sit here. This is their favorite perch. Can you still see the other one? Not really. Not fantastically. Just a smudge of feathers hidden behind the leaves. I think they're really beautiful and entertaining, but very beautiful. I've seen pictures of them when they're angry. I've never seen them angry or defensive, but in complete contrast to the sort of upright, drawn-up posture that the one adopts, they can also puff themselves out, and they hold their wings out to try and make themselves look really big and scary. But just to give you an idea of how not big and scary they are not much... No, they're larger than my hand, probably about the size of both of my hands together. So it's a very, very small owl species. Not as small as the scops owls, true scops owls. You can see with that white radar dish face where the name white-faced owl comes from. Too sweet. Can't quite decide. We spoke before about the fact that they remind us of this particular posture reminds us of this I don't know if it was the sensei or what that character was in Kung Fu Panda. But I've decided it looks a little bit like a Maggie Smith in Harry Potter now. Drawn up and tall. Okay, I'm going to make some room so that the vehicle behind me can have a look at these owls and so that they can see. I might have to actually show them where they are as well, So just hold on 1 second. Alright, while I do that and help these guys out, let's head back to James on foot, see how his adventures with elephants is going.
We are still with them. Again, not the best view in the world. I initially thought probably more than there are there. Maybe only 3 or 4. And they're becoming more and more sort of stationary as they go from marula tree to marula tree, finding the fruits to eat. And as it gets hotter and that ear flapping continues. And I wish we had a decent sort of ambient sound here on the walk, which is it's rather difficult for us to do. But all you can hear at the moment is the sound of the flies, a couple of robins in the background. I mean, there are quite a few birds calling in the background, and then that very lazy kind of watak, 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 watak of the elephant's ears flapping. We might try one more little look around the corner there. See if we can't get them slightly more in the open. The wind is still very consistently blowing from the southeast, so we'd have to really walk around them for them to be able to smell us. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. I'm just going to walk very slowly, make sure there isn't one lurking here in the bush somewhere. Now, Janet, you ask a very perceptive question about the size of elephants' ears, and you're wondering why it is that African elephants' ears are so much larger than their Asian cousins. Well, the answer, Janet, is heat. While the Asian subcontinent there, they're looking straight at us now. This is not an ideal position, so we'll just probably have to back off a little bit from here and wait for them to come out. Janet, the Indian subcontinent is hot, but there's a lot more shade than there is available here in Africa. And the African elephant, rather than being able to escape the heat by standing in the shade, must remain in the sun for much of the day. And so what they tend to do is stand out in the sun, as they're doing there, and they flap the ears. And what the ears do is they pump all of the body, all of that elephant's blood goes through the ears. I think it's in about, it's about 20 minutes. All of the elephant's blood will go through the ears and then into the brain. So it keeps the brain nice and cool during those hot African summer days. And we think that's why they've got so much larger ears than the Asiatic cousins. Rex? Rex? Rex is just checking what the view's like over here. Let's go this way. We go round the side of this termite mound. There's Rex just checking things out for us. Please compliment Rex on his socks. He's wearing them like that because the long pants he began the walk with are so covered in ticks that he had to change them when we went back to change a few things in the bushwalk backpack. Okay, we're going to sit here. I want you to be very quiet, everybody. Let me watch out for these bushes here. Oh, she's coming. She's turned around. Wait. She's turned around. She's coming this way. Okay, we're going to move. Move slowly back. Stop. Wait. Okay, we're going to just move away from us. She's quite close, so we're going to have to move quite quickly. And I don't want VM to have to concentrate on the camera. So we'll head back to Brent, and we'll see you shortly. Just wait.
Okay, so young Xongile has moved out of the sun and she's found her spot, a lovely shady spot next to the little leadwood tree here. And there she is. Hosana is still being Hosana and lying in the sun, but I'm sure he'll move shortly as well. That tick-a-tick-tick was just me putting up my handbrake. we don't want to go for a swim. So I don't think they're going to get up to too much more now, as it's getting quite warm. Now, she hasn't spotted it yet, but there's a terrapin. Oh, I think she just spotted it now. In the shallows. Oh, it's just disappeared under the water again. But it is moving parallel to where she is. Let's see if it pops its head up again. And it's a smaller terrapin. But I don't think she's quite as keen as her brother on diving into the water after terrapins. Remember, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or questions at WildEarthTV if you have any questions for us out here. And of course, very exciting, tomorrow is the cub's birthday, and we will be having a fireside chat to celebrate Hosana and Xongile. Oh, look who's just come to join us. And Craig on the dashboard. Where did you pop down from? There's a lovely little grasshopper. It looks like possibly one of the bladder hoppers. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, where'd he go? He just leapt. Did he land on my hat? No? Did he clear me? Oh, he escaped. That was a big jump for a little grasshopper. But now, while we're sitting here and the leopards are asleep, we do have some birds around. Oh, I can hear them. I can't see them. Oh, let's keep looking. Okay, there we go. Top of this tree here. Very loud, very pretty. Oh, there he goes. It was a little prinier, a tawny flanked prinier, but it's disappearing. So are James's elephants. So let's go have a look.
Okay, we've moved away from her. She's just picked up our scent, probably from where we were standing. And that's the first time she's become vaguely aware of us. Isn't that interesting? As she picked her head up like that. So we can continue just disappearing, melting off into the bush here. And we'll say goodbye to our little elephant herd. I'm sad she picked us up there. I think she picked us up from the ground. I don't think she's seen us. We're still in very good cover. And so we're just going to move slowly, melting through the bush here. We managed to move away so nicely from her, and she didn't have any idea that we were here. And now I think she's picked us up on where we were standing. There's a lovely game path here that leads back up towards Quarantine, so we'll head that way. Did you get her picking her head up there? And she basically walked onto that termite mound, oblivious that we were there. And we were by then well in cover like we are now, just increasing the space. And then I think she must have picked our scent up from where we were standing as you came live, and she went, that's very cool. Okay, we're going to leave her. We're going to head back up towards, on this game path towards Quarantine, see what's around there. Isn't that exciting? It does make me a little bit sad when they become aware of us, but it wasn't because we were careless. Excuse me. It was because she just came walking out on the line, on the direction that she was going, and she picked us up. Careful there, Vyumpi. Phew. That was marvellous. I'd love to know how that would make you guys feel, to be on foot with an elephant like that. It gives me a thrill every single time. It never ceases to make me happy and make me feel just that little bit of an edge. How about a one-word tweet is what we call them these days. Hashtag Safari Live. You can give us a one-word tweet of what you think that would make you feel, being that close to an elephant on foot that was suddenly walking towards you but still oblivious to your presence. So you can tell us what you think that would make you feel. Hashtag Safari Live. I will start talking normally when we've just put a little bit of distance between us and them. And while we head across to quarantine, let's head across to, well, quarantine the leopard's brother.
Well, they've now joined up in the shade, and I don't think, as I said, they're going to move too much. And we've got some birding to do, and as I said, they're going to sleep here in the shade. Hosana got tired of being hot in the sun, so let's go see what other creatures are out there. Isn't he gorgeous? I would definitely look for him again on the sunset safari. Oh, where's that bird that's calling so close to us? Somewhere in the tree above the leopards. So our bird, and quite a lot of you are wondering whether Hosana is in danger of crocodiles because he doesn't have that fear of water. Well, a little bit, I would say, but he seems to stay further away from the bigger water. He tends to stick to the pans, but there could be that danger of crocodiles. Now, he's grown up in a drought, and this is an area that doesn't have a lot of crocodiles, so that could work in his favor. But yes, he definitely is, as of all animals, are in danger of crocodiles when they go close to larger bodies of water. Now, he heard a dung beetle flying. That's what he was looking up at. And it's gone now. But what did you spot there? Oh, it wasn't a dung beetle. It is a massive fruit chafer. Great eyes there, Craig. Look at that. That's what he heard buzzing. I think it's an emperor fruit chafer. Brilliantly done. Well done, Craig. I heard it buzzing. It sounded like a dung beetle. Looked about the size of a dung beetle, but obviously landing on a tree, definitely not a dung beetle. They are absolutely exquisite beetles and very, very big. We've got a bird that has joined us now, and directly opposite us. We heard them tinking a little bit further away earlier, but there we go, a blacksmith lapwing. I wonder, I better not wander too far on this side, you might get pounced upon. We can hear quite a lot of birds around us. So let's give you one last look at the leopards, who have now both gone completely flat, sleeping. And I'm sure they're going to be in this area come the sunset safari. Now, let's continue on, leave the lovely little leopards to snooze, and let's see if we can find some more birds for our February bird list. Okay, while we move on, let's go see what Jamie's been up to. Oh, apparently you were staying with me. Oh, there we go. There's another bird for our bird list, landing in the grass. And Burchell's Starling, just to the right of that little bush there. There we go, a little bit. There we go. Lovely iridescence shining in the early morning light. Well, not so early morning now. pretty starling. And I wonder what other birds await as we continue. But while we continue, let's go see what Commander Bond is up to on foot.
Just the wild jasmine. One of the last few wild jasmines left. They, of course, came around Christmas time, the vast majority, and most of them are now in a state of fruit. Would you like to see a jasmine fruit, Liam? There is a jasmine fruit. I'm not sure that I would eat one. There you are. And there's one ripe one here. I still don't think I would eat it, though. Bright purple. But the smell of this flower, everybody, is too delicious. We've left the elephants behind. And I mean, look, I guess most of you must know what jasmine smells like, and that's what it smells like. It smells like jasmine, probably even slightly sweeter, slightly, almost sickly sweet, to be honest. I can't believe I said to be honest. I've been watching Steph for too long. Come on then, let's carry on. That makes me laugh. Whenever Steph says, whenever I'm in the tent, of course, and I watch the drives going on, whenever I hear Steph say, to be honest, makes me laugh, because, I mean, he would never lie. 62 days, you had an answer for our one-word tweet, and I'm afraid I missed it entirely. 63 days, and the tweet was? Majestic. It was majestic. I'm glad you said majestic and not terrifying or something like that, because the idea is that, for me anyway, that there's never a sense that we are in a state of abject panic, that we're worried that we're going to be taken out by something, because if we are in that state, it's normally because we've done something wrong. So I'm very pleased that your one-word tweet was majestic rather than terrified. Now there's one more thing that I have to be able to do, and that is collect some leaves for my caterpillars, which are living back at where we camp. Larry, sorry I missed your word. We're going to try and get your word. Wiem, there's something more terrifying here than an elephant. I think it's a type of assassin bug. Can you see it there? Just in front of my stick. Larry, you said heart-pounding. It was relatively heart-pounding, not as heart-pounding as some elephant sightings, but I have to tell you that were this assassin bug to get hold of me, I believe that it would be even more heart-pounding. Can you see it there? Yeah, I can see its nasty little proboscis. Now what it does is inject you with something that would feel like being injected with acid. It wouldn't do any harm, it would just hurt quite a lot. But what it uses that for is to liquefy its prey. And so they will find a beetle or something like that, maybe a termite or a Polyrhacus ant, and then inject it with enzymes that liquefy its insides, and then it will suck out the insides, much in the same way as spider venom functions, but I think this is more, I'm not sure how much gets actually digested externally, which is what happens with the spider. I think this might just sort of acidify and turn it to mulch. That's why it's called an assassin bug, and it's got, I don't know if you can see it there, probably not with it moving around like it is on the grass stalk, but it's got a very nasty little proboscis in the front of its mouth, and it will stick into its victims. Now, those beetles are quite easy to spot. They've got these kind of, I'm just going to try and turn him to the camera, there you go. They often look a little bit like that from behind. A sort of flattened elytra, and they don't often have a very hard back like the beetles do. He's a very well camouflaged fellow. Ugh. And they also, of course, so many of them make that horrible stinkiness that a stink bug makes. I need to just quickly, these are the leaves I need to pick for my caterpillars. I'll pick some when we're a little bit closer to home. Alright, let's keep going up here. We're on our way slowly back towards home. And thank you, I believe many of you are concerned about my caterpillars and how they're doing and what they are. They seem to be okay as of last night. I fed them again. I'm a little worried about my tadpoles though. The tadpoles, sorry, bad luck here. Let me just move this out of the way for you. The tadpoles that we've collected, I thought we had about 20 of them or so, and I looked yesterday when I sort of jigged their water and put some more algae in there, and it seemed that we only had about 12. Now, if I had found 8 corpses, then I'd kind of understand, and I might modify the way I was keeping them. But they're either being eaten by something, or, heaven forbid, they're eating each other, but I don't think that's the case. So I'm a little bit mysterious disappearance of about 8 tadpoles. Still have 12 to go. One has died of natural causes. Don't know what those causes were. The other has died by my own hand, unfortunately. When I tried to scoop him out, I touched him very gently, but I think I must have squashed something inside him. Poor fellow. Anyway, he went to tadpole heaven. So we still have 12 left, and I'm being very careful with them, because I so desperately want to find out what they're going to be. So that's the story with my caterpillars, and if you haven't seen them, at least my tadpoles, if you haven't seen them, we put them under the microscope sort of once a week from about, well, it's probably only about a week now, week and a half. And their little leg buds are just starting, and Stefan tells me, because he does this every year with his son, he says that once the leg buds start to grow, then the change will be quite profound, and it'll happen quite quickly, but it hasn't really happened hugely fast as yet. Anyway, you want to go this way? Oh, that's where the kill was. The says there was Karula's baby kill was around here a little while ago. So we'll just have a quick look and see what's left of it. I doubt there'll be much at all underneath here. Oh, this thing. The green thing there. Ah. The green thing being the Combretum calinum bush. Was it a baby impala of him? It was a baby impala, everybody. So I suspect there's probably absolutely nothing left at all. But you can see a brilliant place for a leopardess to have hidden her kill. Under here, eh? On the other side. Let's go around the other side then. All amongst the zinnia flowers and the sesame and the panicum. I can see a bit of flattened bush here. Luca, ideally yes, but the first thing you've got to do is actually make a story. Was it in here?
Yeah, it was right there.
Right here, okay, there's nothing left. Luca, you're wondering about a walking stick, and you say, does it need to have a good story? I think ideally a walking stick, but like a guitar, needs to have a story behind it. It's got less character when it's first picked up or carved or bought. This one wasn't bought, this was given to me by Aubrey, and that's why I keep it. So it readily has a sort of slightly sentimental value. But then I suppose it really depends on its age. I mean, ideally you want a walking stick that's been around a long time and that has seen many things and that you've made your own stories with. So that's what I'm doing with this one. The problem is that I seldom am able to keep these things without losing them or breaking them in some way. Byron also used the stick, so it's got stories from 2 people to tell, and I suppose the best way to tell how much it's been used is how polished the handle gets over here, and I imagine eventually it will be polished to a very fine sheen. Brent Leo Smith has got a bird for you.
This is one of the more difficult birds to get on camera because they're such swift flyers. There are 2 barn swallows basking in the lovely warm late morning light. So often quite difficult to get on camera because they fly so quickly. But we do have another bird as well. Let's get him out of our way for our February list. And it's up there on the edge of this dead tree. There he is. Fork-tailed drongo. Also seems to be enjoying the warmth of the sunlight. Oh, how exciting! We have some more new viewers, Doe and Winnie, and they would like to know what is a bird list. So, much like all the mammals we see, we like to keep track of all the birds, and we're having a bit of a monthly competition at the moment to see how many different bird species the different presenters can get. And a lot of our viewers will keep a bird list as well, so some people have seen over 230 species live on camera while on safari with us. And I am a great birder. I love birding a lot, and it's always a nice change of pace, so you're not always chasing big cats and that, to start looking at the birds and other flying creatures. And we've got some really lovely bird species this summer, and I'm hoping February is going to be a bumper bird month. Siberia Zuni says missing 3 birds on his list he really wants. A rufous-bellied heron, and a dwarf bittern, and a little egret. Well, I think out of those 3, the most likely one to find is a little egret. Dwarf bittern, possibly in one of the thick grassy pans, but they are not very common in this area. And a rufous-bellied heron is what we'd call an extremely rare bird in this area. I've seen them to the north of here. I've never seen them in the Sabi Sands. They are quite common if you head further north in Africa, in Botswana and Namibia, Zambia, but not very common in South Africa at all. The only place I've seen them is north of here in the Kruger and along the Limpopo River on the Botswana border to the northwest of here as well. So well, it would be quite a find to find those, especially since all those birds are generally quite common along rivers, and we lack river frontage within our traverse area. There's always a chance though, you never know, while the animals or birds are flying between different places, that we might be lucky enough to find them. But yes, birding is definitely better in summer where we've got lots of migrants around, and I'm still hoping for a rare cuckoo this year, like a Madagascar cuckoo, so fingers crossed. But it sounds like Jamie has got a reptile.
I do indeed have a reptile. Is it still there? Yes, it is still there. It is. There it is. There we go. A lizard, which was not what I was expecting. A girdle lizard, by the way, which is a fantastic and exciting find, and it's not what I was looking for in the slightest. And there we go. He's completely frozen. He or she is completely frozen. Hoping that if it doesn't move, we won't have spotted it. Doesn't realize, of course, what sharp eyes Genre has. Its throat's bobbing as it breathes. Now, the reason that I'm disappointed to find this girdle lizard, and I mean, I don't think I should ever have been disappointed to find such an interesting reptile, is because I'm at the Philemon's Cutline Hyena Den, and something's been niggling in the back of my mind all morning. It's the fact that as I was on my way towards Gwen's new den, I saw hyena tracks absolutely everywhere along this road. And so I decided for the last few minutes of the sunset safari, I'd come back, sunrise safari, I'd come here and I'd check out and see whether there's any sign of activity, and there is lots. There's hyena tracks, there's small hyena tracks, there's hyena tracks all over the show, but nothing leading up to the den site itself. And I doubt I could be wrong, but I seriously doubt that a girdled liver? What is wrong with me? Girdled liver? That sounds horrifying. It sounds like something they'd feed you up somewhere in... I'm not going to say it, I might be offending someone. So no, not a girdled liver. I doubt a girdled lizard would be sharing a hyena den space with hyenas, especially with cubs. I somehow think that it would have a slightly stronger survival instinct than that. Now, I can promise you that I'm going to be putting in some serious work over the next 2 days to try and figure out what's happening. My suspicion is that the rest of the hyena clan have come back, and I suspect that they're somewhere here, but they're just not using this particular den. And I don't blame them because, of course, while they were away, the entire shape changed. The neighborhood went to the lizards rather than to the dogs. The neighborhood went to the lizards. The elephants pushed over their big shade tree that they had. I suspect they're in the old den that's just to the south of me. That's where I'm going to be looking. But Alexandria, yes, I do believe that Gwen will be there this afternoon. Probably not early, and admittedly I left checking this den too late. Best time for hyena dens is early in the morning, first thing in the morning, and then late in the evening. And that's when the cubs really start to get active, the adults return to feed them. So I do think that Gwen will be back there. Those cubs of hers are at the stage where they are being weaned, or I would have expected them to start being weaned. So I'm not quite sure exactly what the dynamic will be. I think we've got to go and investigate, and just as soon as they see that she's calm, they will be perfectly calm with us. So I can't quite decide what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to go to Gwen this afternoon and then come back here first thing tomorrow morning on the sunrise safari. You can see the residual I've obviously been talking for too long. You can see residual bones over here that are the scattered remnants of the old hyena dens. And James Richard, you say you don't think we've seen a girdled lizard. I think we have. Yeah, I think Brent saw one. I think James might have seen one. Brent definitely did. I know, because he was super excited about the girdled lizard. Sorry, James. And here I've been nattering on about hyenas because I'm not as excited by the lizard because I'm disappointed to see it, which isn't very fair at all. Alright, on that note, it is the end of our sunrise safari. So a big thank you to Gendre for all of his wonderful camera work. Well done, Gendre, getting those cubs when they dashed away. And thank you to Jerry and Bex in final control. Most importantly, of course, a big thank you. A very big thank you to all of you watching across the globe. Thank you for your questions and comments. Hope you're all as excited about the hyenas as I am. We will see you on the Sunset Safari. Have a fantastic day or evening wherever you happen to be. Bye-bye, everybody.